Hi everyone, it's Eleanor back with a video from the field station, and this afternoon I'm coming to you to talk about Jack-in-the-pulpit, a really cool springtime flower. I've been noticing them on the trails here, and that reminded me of a really great book called Hollows, Peepers, and Highlanders by George Constance. It's a really interesting, well-written book about, as you can see there, an Appalachian mountain ecology. So it's all about the ecology and natural history of the Appalachians in general, and it has a lot of really great information about a lot of the species that live in Virginia and here on our field station specifically. And one of those is the Jack-in-the-pulpit. There's a whole chapter about them and a whole chapter about all sorts of other interesting species. So I thought I would go out and find a few and tell you what I learned from the book. So I hope you'll come along for the ride. All right, here we are. I found a little patch of Jack-in-the-pulpit up on the Springhouse Trail, and actually not just this patch, but all around me in the woods. There are tons of the Jack-in-the-pulpit blooming right now. If you haven't seen one before, this is what it looks like. Their leaves come in kind of threes like this, and then the flower is right here, and there's another one right here. So the color is a little bit more muted than the red buds I showed a couple days ago, but I think they're really quite striking in their own right. And they come up at this time of year, and they're one of the many flowers that take advantage of this special time of year to flower. So they need sunlight to grow, so they take advantage of the fact that the trees haven't really quite leafed out yet. So there's still a lot of light coming down through the canopy to the floor here. And like lots of wildflowers this time of year, this is the right time for the Jack-in-the-pulpit to take advantage of that sunlight before they get shaded out by all the canopy trees. We often call that spring ephemeral wildflowers. So these are super interesting for a few different reasons. One is that they can actually change their sex from year to year. So you see here, like I said, some of the plants are flowering, but not all of them are. And the flowers can either be male or female, and that's one way that they reproduce, through their flowers that then get pollinated and become seeds. The other way they reproduce is vegetatively. So they send out what's called corms underground. And depending on how much they are able to kind of invest in their corms this year, that determines whether they'll become a male or a female flower next year. So if they have really big, strong, healthy corms this summer, then they'll be able to invest in becoming a female flower next spring. If they produce only kind of a medium amount of corms, then they'll become a male flower next spring. And if they really don't produce much corms at all, then they might not even flower next year. So that's a really unusual trait, that they're actually able to switch back and forth between being male and female depending on how much kind of reserves they have. The other interesting thing is how they attract pollinators. So a lot of us are used to really nice smelling flowers that attract bees and butterflies. These flowers attract gnats and flies by smelling kind of funky. So I just kind of smelled a few of these, and they do. I don't have a great nose, but even I could smell, they smell a little bit like mushrooms, a little bit like rotting stuff. So they're hoping to attract flies and gnats that want to lay their eggs in mushrooms. So instead of smelling nice, they smell a little bit funky. And then there's a really interesting difference between the male and the female flowers. So in order for a female flower to get pollinated, it has to be visited by a fly or a gnat that has already visited a male flower. So the male flowers have a little exit hole somewhere down here where the gnats or the flies can leave after they've kind of explored the flower. But the female flowers don't have any exit hole at all. They don't really care whether the gnats or the flies are able to exit, because they have already performed their job. They've already hopefully pollinated the female flowers. So the female flowers, which I think this is one here, doesn't have that hole down at the base. So that's kind of a sneaky pollination system by the female flowers in two ways. So first, they attract the flies and gnats by smelling like a mushroom, which they are not, and then they trap their pollinators inside. Very interesting, very unique plant that's growing here at this time of year. You guys, this is so cool. I just got pretty close to this flower to see if I could tell whether it was male or female. And as I looked down in there, I hope you'll be able to see there are actually some little flies or gnats already down in the flower. So they are doing their job. They're pollinating the flower. This is pollination in action. I hope one will maybe fly up so you can see it, but they're down in there. Oh yeah, do you maybe see one moving around? There he is, there he is. And there's some little green structures down in there, which I think indicates that this is a female plant, so probably those flies will end up stuck down there in the plant, in the flower, and won't make their way back out again. Super cool to see natural history in action. So that's what I learned about Jack-in-the-pulpit from Hollows, Peepers, and Highlanders. I would definitely recommend checking it out to learn more about Jack-in-the-pulpit, as well as lots of other interesting plants and animals. I hope you'll be able to find some spring wildflowers near you. And I hope we'll be able to get together sometime in person sometime soon, but until then, I have loved being with you online. I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I am, and I hope I'll see you sometime soon. Bye!